What's up, everybody? We're back with Igniting Your Career in Car Sales. I'm Dustin Mason.
I'm Alex Crowder. How's it going, guys?
Today, we're going to talk about habits and time management. This is one of the few jobs in the world where you can literally sit and do nothing all day and no one's going to be all over you. So a lot of this is just making sure you're productive when you're there and being organized.
Yeah, being your own boss is never easy, and in car sales, that's about as close as you get to being your own boss with having a structured paycheck.
And what is that quote? It says it could be the hardest job, or what is it? Easiest job that doesn't pay very well, the hardest job that does pay well, just what you make of it type thing.
Yeah, you can make anywhere from $50,000 a year, and we know people that make almost $150,000 a year.
Yeah, and they do the same time every day.
Yep, some of them choose not even to work Saturdays. You can get to that point. That's about building a clientele, but we'll touch on that some other time because that's 3 episodes in itself.
Yeah, that's right. and a lot of it is just, if you're going to be there all day, you might as well make the most of it because you don't want to waste time. So
positivity is key.
So first thing we're going to do is, we're going to just kind of run through the beginning of your day, what we do, and kind of go from there. So first thing is being first. Now, it's really easy, again, to be the last salesperson in for the day, be there right at 9 when your shift starts. But realistically, what are you going to miss if, you have your coffee at your desk instead of stopping at the drive-thru or, making it at home?
Yeah, and it's saving money. How much money do you spend every day? $1.75.
It's always about money.
Save money, people. Save money. It's worth it. No, but to Dustin's point, being first, what's it hurt if you have your coffee at your desk? That doesn't hurt anything. What if you make a coffee at home? You don't even have to go to the machine. There's certain things, everything has a reason, especially I find getting in first, getting the first ups, making your coffee first, sitting at your desk, all these things, they set your whole day. They set the tone for everything to come. Everything to come. And
that's right. So I'm going to kind of go through what I do. The first thing I do when I get to work. The number one is we talked a little bit about having a CRM or, a digital organizing tool of some sort in our dealership. But I also have a paper copy. The one I use, I got it just at the local, business supply store. It's a calendar, but you can write on what times throughout the day. So I think it has like 7 o'clock in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night. And there's like 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, and it's all spaced out. So the first thing I do when I get in is I write my tasks for the day. So for instance, I'll put John Smith as looking for a quote. So-and-so Jane Smith wants her appraisal, looked at again. Don't forget to follow up with this person who picked up their car last week. And I'll write like 6 or 7 things that I need to get done today. And as I go through them, I'll check them off. So the good thing about writing them down is in this business, especially if you're first one in, you might get halfway through a task and then get interrupted with a phone call or maybe a customer comes in or something like that. And it's really hard to just, at the top of your memory, after dealing with a customer for 2 hours, to go back to that task that you were in, unless it's written down in front of you and it's something you look throughout the day. Also, especially like Monday morning, you might forget what you were working on Saturday, or, you might miss a few things that way. So the first thing I do is I write down everything, and as I go through these tasks, I check them off. Few reasons for this. One is what I just mentioned. Another one is actually having that sense of accomplishment that you're going through your day in a structured manner, and it's not just kind of flying by the seat of your pants all over the place, finishing half of a task here, half of a task here, and mixing everything up. It gives you a little bit of structure, and then if that day isn't that productive in other ways, like no one walks in or no phone calls happen or anything like that, you're at least getting that sense of accomplishment, and you'll sit at your desk longer. You won't be bored and start walking around.
So you're not going to go and socialize, basically what you're saying. You're not going to go to everyone's desk, hey, how was your weekend? And not that there's anything wrong with that. We are not saying that's a bad thing, that you shouldn't talk to people in your dealership, that you should be grumpy and sit at your desk the whole time.
Yeah, you want to have fun with your colleagues and everybody be friends and stuff.
Yeah, but to Dustin's point, right, his agenda, which I've seen him use since day one, he has preached. My first day, actually, I remember him talking to 2 other salesmen, said, I'm going to Staples to pick up the agenda at the beginning of the year, because I had started in December. And like clockwork, he's done that since. And how important is that to you? Like I was going to touch on it, but you already did. A Saturday, you get a bunch of customers, right? You have 3 ups, and you're really focused on these people, as you should be. And Monday comes around, and you're like, shoot, who was I supposed to send a quote to? What was I supposed to appraise? Wasn't I supposed to get a hold of the marketing department?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Especially if it's busy. Especially like just the other day, it was busy Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was busy through the last 2 hours of the day. I had people at my desk right at the end of the day. And thank goodness I wrote them down in my agenda to follow up Monday morning with what they were expecting. They wanted to know a little bit about their lease buyout. They wanted to know the difference between the two packages. I had a few more numbers I had to get ready for them in email. And I totally would have forgot it by throughout the weekend if I didn't write it down and have it in front of me.
Habits are, two things are hard to break. Habits and reputations. Those are the hardest things in life that you can possibly break. And I've been talking about this book I've been reading to Dustin for a week. He's probably sick of hearing about it, but it's a book about habits, obviously. And what it says is that your brain is actually dormant if you continue to do the same habit. There's a click point. So you get that click point. Something happens in your brain where it basically goes dormant and you don't think of any task, you just do it. Like driving as an example. $20 says, whoever's listening to this podcast, you cannot remember what shoe you put on first, your left or your right. Because there was a click point at one point in time. So let's say it's you making a coffee and all of a sudden you're gone. That's it. You're out the door. You can't remember anything anymore. So Dustin has a good habit in where he writes down every time. Every morning you see him sitting at his desk with his coffee. He goes right to his desk. He sits down with a big freaking agenda he's got. And he has terrible chicken scratching. He's going through. He's like, yeah, I make this. But the guy doesn't miss a beat. He does not miss a beat. I have never once heard Dustin say, I forgot to send a quote to somebody. And the reason for that is because he has that agenda. It is a good habit, and he gets all those things out of the way.
And I think for those of you who are in the car industry, I think it'd be interesting to challenge you and see, whenever you're listening to this, whether it be the next week or whatever, challenge and see what is your habit.
Oh, good question.
Is it good? Is it bad? What is it that you do as soon as you get into the dealership? I'll tell you, I did have a bad habit. Every morning, I used to open up a new tab on my browser. Alex is laughing because I have a lot of tabs open at any given time. But I'd open up a new tab, and it would show me car news because that's a recent or a frequent page I go to. And that was my habit, was every day I'd grab my coffee, sit down at my desk, and just go through car news. And not all of it is pertaining to our industry. A lot of it's just like, oh, this cool car that just came out or whatever. And that was my bad habit that I did every single day. Yeah. And I see a few other guys, the first thing they do when they come in is they make their rounds. They go to everybody's desk. I
do that. I was bad for that and still am.
Oh, Alex was horrible. I used to challenge all the time. And he would come in, make his rounds. Now it's time for coffee. Grab a coffee, go sit down. Oh, but now so-and-so just started work because they come in at 10. Yeah. And they're going to come sit down with Alex. And
now it's time for lunch. Now it's time for lunch. Now you got an hour. And there's this Brian Tracy. If you ever YouTube Brian Tracy, it's great. He says, statistically, a salesman will only spend 90 minutes in front of somebody or combined on the phone. And if you could double that, you could increase your sales by more than double. And he's challenged companies. Now, apparently this is true. I really want to see the stats behind this because I actually want to try it. I think it'd be pretty cool. But to Dustin's point, like, habits are everything, right? You don't want to develop bad ones. And I was so bad, guys, at one point for sitting at everyone's desk, going through that stuff, not making the calls, and you just get stuck in time. And Brian Tracy said that's where I was going at that point. It's easy to get sidetracked in a podcast. Really, we got like 100 notes in front of us. You make 2 calls. The average salesman makes 1 late morning and 1 in the afternoon. That is it. The average person.
That's a bad habit.
There's like 6 to 10 people average in every dealership. And everyone's only making 2 calls per person. That's absolutely insane. That baffled my mind.
So that's the challenge too. Are you an average salesperson or are you the top? If you're not the top, pay attention to the top guy at your dealership or top girl at your dealership. See what she or he does. I guarantee that they're not the ones sitting at your desk.
Nope.
And that's another thing.
Oh, that's a good point.
This is another habit Alex used to have.
There's lots.
And that was, and he even mentioned it to me of the same thing, was when you do socialize, you don't sit at another person's desk.
Nope.
And Alex noticed that anytime I used to come to his desk or another person's desk just to chat for a few minutes, I would never sit down. And even if they asked me to, say, hey, have a seat, chat for a bit, I would never sit down. I would only stand there. Because as soon as you're sitting down, you gave up on your day.
And it looks bad.
It looks bad, yeah.
We're not saying that there's bad. And guys, now as we're saying all this and rambling on different points, like we have bulletins in front of us we're supposed to follow. We just get on topics and we start talking.
And you remember more things.
And it's easier. But it looks bad from a distance. No one thinks that you're sitting there doing nothing. You might be the top sales guy. You just sat down. We're not saying that we have the answers to everything. We're just saying try different things. Try to ignite your career. This is one way to do it. Since Dustin's told me that, and I promise this, I have not sat at somebody's desk to socialize since starting. And I have gotten so much more work done in the last week.
That's
I
huge.
haven't missed one quote, not one call. I felt like I've been more efficient. I'm going to buy agenda today. That's the whole point. Feed off each other. I told Dustin about the habits book, and now he's like, okay, yeah.
I started to look at my own habits.
See, it's all about sharing information of each other. Yeah, everyone wants to be the best at car sales. Yes, everyone wants to make the most money. And people have approached us with this podcast from different dealerships, real estate companies, you name it, and we're so flattered that they listen. And they said, why don't you talk about this? Or we don't think that point is true. We want you to challenge us on this information and bring us with points that you want us to mention.
Yeah. Oh, we'd be happy to hear any points that you guys have. And like I said, just take a look at what you guys are doing that's working. Give us some tips. Look at what's not working for you. Pay attention to the top performers at your dealership, the lowest performers at your dealership. And if you're not into the business yet, this is a good point to start. So another topic we're going to talk about today, really quick, is we're just going to, on the type of habits concept, there's a few different types of leads that come in that I think it's good to make habits with. One of them being a phone lead and one of them being an email lead. So I'll start off with the phone lead. There's a few things that go on here. So obviously, if you're at your desk, you're more likely to get a phone lead and be able to respond to it, rather than if you're outside smoking.
Or socializing. Like what we said at the beginning. Yep.
So that's number one. Number two is obviously a nice greeting on the phone. Be patient. Make sure you get their name. So I usually pick up the phone. Good afternoon or good morning. Dustin speaking. I don't sound like a robot. I try to make it as warm and friendly as possible. And then after that, I find out their name, what they're looking for, and I will not only actively listen, but I also have my notepad in front of me, and I write down all the key points. So right away, I'll write down, if his name's Jerry, I'll write down Jerry. That way, I won't have to say the awkward conversation of, sorry, what was your name again?
Oh, yeah, that's not a good one. People don't like that, guys.
Yes, exactly. And the number two thing I want to do, other than listening to what they're calling for, is going to be getting their contact info. So there's a few ways to do this. One of them could be finding a reason why you would need their contact info. So great, I see you're interested in our 2013 RX 350. Let me just make sure it's available. Can I please have your phone number so I can call you right back? Another one to do it is, you know what, Jerry, just in case we get disconnected, can I please have your phone number so I can give you a call back if anything happens? And no one's ever going to not do that. Another thing that I want to collect from them is their email address. So since they're calling you, you have nothing in front of you other than what you're writing down. So collecting their email address is very important. And a best practice that I use that email address for is after I write down all these key topics. So let's say Jerry's interested in our 2013 RX 350. He wants to know a few payments on it. He wants to know if there's anything else coming in, or maybe if that car sold, if we have anything like it. I always write a quick summary, and then after my phone call, I'll shoot him an email. Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for calling the dealership earlier. I just confirming that I'm going to look for a 2013 RX for you. You're looking for a 5-month or a 5-year payment monthly of $500 a month. This, and this. You prefer this color. And then not only do you get to summarize what they're looking for and they feel like they listen, but now they know who you are. And you're not just another voice at the end of the phone. They'll see your email address. They'll see your the company you work for. They'll remember a little bit more about you. And if you can't even do a video or some pictures, that sort of thing.
I think that's what I like that you've done is the summarizing. Now that's something I'm going to try this week because that's not something I've done before. And I remember you mentioned this once before, but it's smart. Think of it this way, guys. Not only does that prompt this customer to respond via email, which now you know they're engaged, because there's nothing worse than sending a bunch of emails in an e-lead, and sometimes they just don't get back to you, and they'll call you out of the blue. But at least you're engaging. You have a couple different forms of contact via their phone number and email address because you've collected both of those. It's huge. That's such an important thing that Dustin.
And you
does.
want to stand out too. Like they're going to call 5 dealerships. How many of them are going to summarize them in an email? That's why I look at it.
How many Dustin Masons out there are going to take a good phone call, be polite about it, ask lots of questions, guys. Ask lots of questions. Get the information, email address, phone number, send videos, send photos of the car, and then summarize everything. What more can you ask for?
Exactly.
So, guys, we're going to keep this podcast a little bit shorter than we usually do, only because we found the last couple ran really, really long.
25 minutes was the last one.
It's so easy to get off topic with this stuff, though, because we want to help you guys. But again, we encourage you to comment, like, subscribe, Facebook, share, Instagram, you name it. We're still learning. So the more information you can provide us, and even whether it's negative or positive feedback, we appreciate it all no matter what.
And let us know what you want to hear about. Do you want us to have a guest speaker? Would you like...
We've got lots of those ready.
A little bit more detail on anything we've covered so far? Or whatever it is, just give us a shout or comment below.
Our old boss would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Andrew, if you hear this, because you said you listened to the last two, and I'm going to see if you did. I'll buy you a coffee if you're listening to this. Only if you hear this last portion, though.
It'll be a small coffee.
Yeah, it's $1 at McDonald's, so don't get too excited. But I think that would be fun, because a managerial perspective would be interesting.
Yeah, we should do that. So it looks like next what we'll do is we're going to touch on e-leads next time. Maybe we'll have a guest speaker. We'll go through a few other topics. And keep listening. I'm Dustin Mason.
I'm Alex Grado.
Talk to you next time. Hey everyone, I'm Dustin Mason.
I'm Alex Grado.
If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe, comment below, share it with your friends, and of course,
smash that like button!
We'll see you next time.